Great, thank you. Thanks, everyone. My name is Lisa Raposo. I am the Executive Director at the SUNY Center for Professional Development, also known as we call it the CPD. I'm really happy to kick off our week-long series. The CPD was founded in 1989 and has really become the central resource for providing professional development, training, and conference support for our member campuses, as well as communities of practice throughout the system. Just wanted to kind of go over a little bit about what we're doing here at the CPD. It's Professional Development Week. We actually started this in 2018. I can't believe it, that we're already on our 8th year. It is really a celebration of lifelong learning and continuing education in the workplace. PD Week is our kind of public awareness campaign that really highlights the importance of connection between lifelong learning, professional growth, and organizational success. We want you to feel like you're getting resources not only for your professional life and how you interact with your colleagues, but also for you as an individual and working towards whatever career goals you may have. So our lineup this week, I will introduce our speaker in a moment. Tomorrow on Tuesday, we're going to be taking a closer look at imposter syndrome and some strategies for overcoming that. On Wednesday, our own Carolyn Matisky, Director of SUNY SAIL, she's going to be talking to us about how to remain calm in times of stress and when you're under great pressure. Then on Thursday, Chris Price here at the CPD, he will be taking us through, and some other speakers will be joining him as well. But he'll be taking us through some professional development resources that are free to SUNY faculty and staff due to some partnerships that we have in place here at SUNY. So he'll walk you through those. And then on Friday, our Madeline Kaplan, who put together this series, she will be talking to us about how to create and connect with communities of practice throughout SUNY using SUNY's SUNY Learning Commons, which is actually powered by a Microsoft product. It is powered by Viva Engage. So let's go ahead and get started. Happy to get started and introduce to you our topic for today. Today, we are going to be talking about Microsoft Copilot and boosting productivity with AI. And I'm happy to introduce Renata Ruiz. Renata has been working with the CPD, taking SUNY campuses on a kind of Copilot roadshow throughout the state. So we've been happy to work with her. And Renata is a senior AI business solutions specialist at Microsoft. She's focused on helping organizations unlock productivity and innovation through AI-powered solutions like Copilot Chat, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and agents. So Renata, I'll turn things over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the week lineup sounds amazing. I would love to join the imposter syndrome call that you all have. So, my name is Renata Ruiz. I am sure some of you have seen me present in other places. I have been at Microsoft almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in February, and I've been working with SUNY for the last 3 years. I love working with you all. I promise I don't say this to every customer, but you are my favorite group to work with. I've been in education my entire career. I'm a former classroom teacher and spent a lot of time in professional development and professional learning in previous roles. So I am always happy to share some information or any helpful tools that you have available to you. Today, my primary focus is around M365 Copilot Chat. And for those of you who may have noticed that Microsoft tends to name things the same thing and it gets a little bit confusing, I'm spending the bulk of our time today talking about what you have access to at no additional cost with the licenses you already have. I'm not going to spend any time talking about the additional features with the M365 Copilot license. However, if at the end there are questions about something that is available only with that license, I will let you know. It tends to happen where, I start talking about Copilot chat, someone asks me, hey, can it do this? And then I have to pause and say it can with the additional license. The other piece to know is if that does come up, the new education level pricing for Microsoft 365 Copilot went live on December 1st. It is at a 40% discount now for education institutions at $18 per user per month. But Copilot Chat is something that you all have access to right now without additional license requirements. And yeah, let's get started. I would love like by a show of hands or thumbs up. I am not a big Zoom user, so I'm sorry. Letting me know if you've used Copilot Chat or put it in the chat. Yes, okay. Looks like some people have been using Copilot Chat. That's great. I love that. Um, Part of the fun of being a senior AI business solution specialist, which sounds like a made up title, is that I get rollouts of new features first. So if when I demo, because I will spend some time in live demo, um, you may see that my screen might look a little bit differently, and that's because the features usually roll out separately. So let's get started. So give me a sec. Again, I'm pretty clunky when it comes to using um, Zoom. So I always start with this slide because it really highlights how quickly this technology is moving. This is just highlighting how long it's taken for certain technologies to reach 100 million users. And that ChatGPT line is basically a straight line up and down. So if you follow along with Microsoft's announcements or blogs, you may have seen that we had an event maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, called Ignite, where there were a ton of announcements about some new things that are coming for AI. And so while the technology is taking off and moving quickly, the changes are also happening very fast. So we sort of have to think about what does that mean for us in the education field as we prepare our students for work. Education is actually one of the highest AI users in terms of industries that Microsoft supports. Um, Education by far is one of the highest users. And I'm sure that this number that we're seeing on the screen right now, it jumped from 45% in 2023 to 86% in 2024, and it will continue to move as this technology, is here to stay. So how do we think about how we're preparing our students for the future of work? When Copilot was announced about 2 years ago, we really wanted the human to be at the center. That's why it's named Copilot, not Autopilot. The human's always in the room. It starts with people. And so we envision every person having access to a Copilot, which is their trusted AI assistant. And I'm going to say the words trust and secure quite a bit. Copilot was designed to be an enterprise grade secure AI chat tool. And so we're thinking about AI as that user experience or that interface, and then having agents be able to interact with Copilot so that you can automate some processes. So when we think about Copilot, Copilot is your private personal assistant. Everyone has access to a Copilot. And then your agents are connected to Copilot and are there for processes. So Copilot's for a person, personal assistant, agents for a process. So we're bringing AI to education at no additional cost with Copilot Chat. You have the ability to have secure web-grounded AI on an app or the web and in your Microsoft 365 productivity apps. I will go through the apps later in the live demo. You have the ability to build or pull in agents, both available for free or on a consumption basis. And then for the IT people in the room, there is agent management, IT controls, and enterprise data protection that goes along with this package at no additional cost. Now, I'm saying no additional cost because that's very different than free. You have access to Copilot Chat with enterprise data protection, which you're seeing here on the screen, at no additional cost. So, what does enterprise data protection mean? It means that as you are prompting, your data is secure and not training the large language model. So there are 5 bullets on this slide. I'm not going to read through all of them, but know that you will have access to these slides as a PDF later. All of these links are live, so you could go in and read additional information about what each of these pieces mean. But I'm going to go through the 5 bullets so that you can get a general understanding of why this is designed for enterprise. So we secure your data. It's encrypted at rest and in transit. So there's data isolation between tenants, meaning if you are part of SUNY Brockport and you are prompting, SUNY Empire State will never have access to any of the information that you are prompting, any of your data. Your tenants are isolated, your data is isolated, and using Copilot Chat encrypts your data. Your data is private. Your data is not used by Microsoft in any way. And we have a lot of privacy commitments that are part of your contract with Microsoft, ensuring that that data stays private. Your access controls and policies apply to Copilot, meaning, however, your Microsoft 365 service is set up by IT at your institution, all of those settings carry over or are inherited by Copilot automatically. So sensitivity labeling, data loss prevention, permissions, you're never going to have access to something that you didn't have access to begin with Copilot. Everything remains and is inherited. So all of those specific controls and policies are set up by your IT at your institution. You are protected against AI security and copyright risks. So there's safeguards in place for prompting for self-harm or anything that might be harmful in general or hateful. Content copyright concerns as well. So for example, if I prompted in Copilot Chat to generate an image of me as Spider-Man, Spider-Man is a copyrighted image. Copilot will kick back and say that it cannot create that image because of our responsible AI or our copyright commitment. And then the biggest differentiator here, the biggest piece when we're talking about Copilot Chat with enterprise data protection is that your data isn't used to train the foundation model. So anything that you are prompting, any documents that you attach, any information that you use in your prompts is not going out into the large language model to train it. You're essentially reaping the benefits of the trained model without adding to it. So if you're prompting around any intellectual property, you can rest assured that your data using Copilot with enterprise data protection, nothing is training the model. So everything stays within your Microsoft 365 service boundary. No one within your institution will have access to the data that you're inputting either. So when we talk about training the model or any conversation history, I'm going to get ahead of that by telling you that when you prompt in Copilot Chat, what ends up happening is a Microsoft Exchange folder is created to save those conversations. It's exactly like an email folder. The only person who has access to that history is you. And then if IT needed to get for some reason your account needed to be audited, there's a whole process that happens with IT, and then IT could eventually access that information, but no one else has access to your conversation history. So I see that there are a couple of questions. Okay, I'm going to go through some of these things as we go along. I think the beauty in Copilot is really in the live demo. So let me let you know here, there are multiple ways to access Copilot chat. You could use it in the web app. That would be m365copilot.com or office.com. And when you log in, that interface will be Copilot chat. You can also access Copilot through the desktop or mobile app. So if you have a Windows 11 device, you may see the Copilot button come up in your bottom toolbar. There's Copilot chat access in 4 Microsoft 365 apps right now: Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And then we have some integrations with learning management systems that will allow you to pull Copilot chat into Canvas, for example. When you log in, and I will show you this live, the biggest piece to notice is this little green shield in the upper right-hand corner is telling you that you're logged in with your institution's credentials and that enterprise data protection is turned on. Questions about that? I think we're good. All right. The next couple of slides are really just for you to have as reference. I'm not going to go through all of these, but things for you to know. The chat is currently powered by GPT-5, which is the latest OpenAI model. This really does increase the ability for reasoning. So the biggest update when we think about using GPT-5 is advanced reasoning models that provide you with deeper research or analysis of what your question may be. And I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. But what I want to point out here is that if someone is in your institution or you yourself say, I prefer to use Chat GPT because it has better models, it's the same model. We have a partnership with ChatGPT, which means we're using the same exact models. Just know that when you are using Copilot Chat with enterprise data protection, you have that additional protection and guardrails around your data. So we have different tools for different reasons. When you are prompting for work, it's best to use a tool that is designed for enterprise. What else? You have the ability to collaborate in Pages, and I'll show you that. Generating images. You can interact with Copilot using voice to text. You could add files. You could add up to 4 files at a time in a conversation, in an interaction, and then up to 20 files total in an entire conversation. So you could reason against files. Now, if you prefer to use Chrome or Firefox, that's fine. If you use Edge, Copilot Chat is embedded into Edge and can summarize web pages and PDFs automatically for you. There's the ability to do coding with Copilot Chat. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier, we recently added Copilot Chat into some of the PowerPoint apps not PowerPoint apps, the M365 apps like PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and Outlook to be able to reason against whatever document that you have open. And we'll talk about that in a bit. All right, let me switch over to my, okay, so you should be seeing my browser. Thumbs up, someone, anyone? Yes, okay, great. All right, so I'm going to just go into Microsoft M365 Copilot.com and you should see a couple of things I want to point out here. So, because I am licensed for M365 Copilot, I have a work and a web tab. If you're not licensed for M365 Copilot, that's fine. You won't see a tab. You will automatically be in web, and that's where we want to be today anyway. A couple of things up on the screen. You'll see this little drop-down menu, or if you're not seeing it, you should be seeing it soon, where it's telling me that it's automatically deciding how long to think. But if I know that I want it to think quicker or if I want it to think deeper, I have the option to make those changes here. That green shield that I mentioned earlier is really important. It's letting me know I'm logged in as Renata Ruiz at Microsoft and I have enterprise data protection turned on. This purple square is where I would start a new chat. This drop-down menu here allows me to create a temporary chat, meaning if I wanted to ask Copilot something that I didn't want it to create a memory about, or I didn't want to access it later, I could turn on temporary chat and I won't be able to go back to it later, but it also won't save that conversation. And then this ellipses over here pulls up settings. And I want to talk about settings a little bit because I mentioned memory and personalization. So when I click on settings, I have the personalization option here. And what that does is it allows me to create custom instructions about how I want Copilot to respond to me. So I can say, this is my custom instruction here. I could edit, I could add things to it. I can also, it has my work data, so it knows that I work at Microsoft, who my manager is, saved memories. So Copilot will remember details to help answer or provide better responses. And so it will make inferences based off of the things that I'm asking it or how I respond. And so it knows that I reflect solo before brainstorming with others, that my communication style is in bullet points. If any of this were incorrect, I could go ahead and delete it. I could delete all memories and start from scratch as well. And then down at the bottom, I have chat history turned on because I want Copilot chat to remember previous chats to personalize answers rather than starting from scratch every time. So you have the ability to personalize Copilot's responses to you. On the screen here, you have your chat box like you have in any chat tool. This plus sign here will allow you to add content. So you could add documents, you could connect it to your OneDrive, you can upload images and files. So I've uploaded screenshots. I have taken pictures of a gym and a hotel and said, create, a workout routine for me based off of the equipment that I have available to me. So you can reason against images as well. This little microphone here is dictation. So it allows me to use voice to text if I wanted to do that. And then these little tiles are just prompt suggestions. Like if you're stuck and you're not sure how you want to prompt, or if you need additional prompt suggestions, you could go in the gallery and you can, filter it by type. Okay. This little expand navigation piece will pop open your agents if you have access to agents. We'll talk about that in a bit. I'm going to collapse them. And then all of my chats. So I can go back to any of my chats and continue to prompt or find the resources that I was asking for. Down at the bottom, when I hit all chats, it allows me then to search by keyword. So I could go back and find the prompt that I use. So a lot of different ways to interact with your prompts. So I mentioned earlier that uh, the the chat history creates an exchange folder. The length of how long you have access to your chats is decided by the retention policies that your central IT has set up. So sometimes it's 90 days, depending on the institution, it might be 120 days. So it follows those policies and settings that were set for retention policies and exchange folders. Um, I pulled up this prompt here to show you that it can translate or respond in different languages. So if you prompt in English and say, my interview is in Portuguese, it started responding to me in Brazilian Portuguese. So there are over 40 languages that are supported with Copilot Chat and M365 Copilot. All right. Let me hit new chat here. And let me read the questions. Does a OneDrive folder count as one source? So you would have to pick files from the OneDrive folder. You would not be able to upload an entire folder. So let me show you how you could do that. So let's say, help me create an email invitation for a webinar with an agenda based off of, and so to attach files, you can use this plus button here, or you could also use your / button and it will pull up some files that you have that it has access to. So I'm going to use that PowerPoint that I had open, and it's going to read across that file, that PowerPoint, and it's going to generate what I asked it to generate. So you could add up to 4 files per interaction and then 20 files total per conversation. When you're using Copilot Chat, if you're reaching 20 to 30 interactions and still not getting what you need to get out of your prompts, it's best to start a new chat. If you are switching topics, it's also best to start a new chat. I like to say that, Copilot is a personal assistant. Sometimes it's, gotten 8 hours of sleep and right on top of it. Sometimes that personal assistant is a little bit like Amelia Bedelia, and it will Amelia Bedelia if you switch topics within the same conversation. So just start a new chat. So since it's set to auto here, it's going to take a little while to review the data that I have set up, but you can pick quick response and it will change. While that's working, I want to pull up the different apps because that's the newest feature of Copilot Chat, is being able to reason in the app that you're in. So we're going to go into Outlook first. I wonder if it's just my internet that's very slow today because this is not normal. There it goes. Okay, so I am in Outlook. I'm going to go to an email that I usually use here. And so I'm in Copilot in the toolbar up the top where it says chat, and you're going to have just web here. And so with Copilot with Copilot Chat in the 4 apps, you are limited to the email that you have open in order to prompt against. So for example, in this case, I could have it summarize, I could have it suggest my next step, and it's going to read the email that I have open and give me some next steps based off of the thread. So confirm availability, prepare input. Would you like me to? So whenever you prompt Copilot, it's always going to give you some additional prompts that you can continue the conversation in. So in this case, I could say, draft a reply, please. Oops. And so it's going to draft the reply. I can then copy and paste it into the email and send it off. So there it goes. So with Copilot Chat, without the additional license, you can open up one email and have Copilot Chat reason against that one email. It's not going to automatically draft the email for you in Outlook. You have to copy and paste it, but it is a free piece that's included in the license that you have. Let's go into Word. All right, so I'm going to actually open this contract here. Oh, where'd it go? So I'm opening a document. This is a dog adoption contract that I actually received in October, and I thought it was very long. You'll see here it's 11 pages long, and I am not one to sign a contract without reading it, and so I asked Copilot for help. So we're going to open Copilot here, and I'm going to say, please scan this contract for any red flags. It seems a bit long and intense for a dog adoption. And so it's going to scan that contract for me. And so it is working and reasoning against the document that I have open. It's not going to do anything automatically for me in the document because this is not the licensed piece. But you can copy and paste and do everything that you need to do. Pulling Copilot Chat into these apps was really designed so that you are working in one workflow rather than jumping into different tabs or different windows in order to reason with Copilot Chat. So here it goes. It scanned it. It gave me my top red flags, restrictive clauses, ambiguities I might want clarified, practical suggestions, what to do next. And so again, like I mentioned, Copilot's always going to say, here's what I could do next for you. Let me know what you want me to do. And so I'm going to say, draft a short email, please. And so again, you're continuing the conversation in Word using the document that you have open. Okay, let's go into PowerPoint. And I'm going to open. Let's open this one. I'm seeing the question in the chat. Did I get the dog? I did not get that dog. I did send an email to the organization like, there, see the dog in the back now? That's not the dog. I sent an email with 6 clarifying questions. The org got back to me and said, based off of the scope of my questions, they were no longer comfortable with us adopting the dog. And I said, you know what? That's a sign. And we ended up getting the perfect dog who just went upstairs a week later. So it was fine. But Copilot can act as, a reviewer of things very quickly and provide you with very professionally written emails and documents. So I would recommend never signing a contract without reading it first, for sure. Okay, so I'm in PowerPoint now. I have a PowerPoint deck open. It's very similar to the one that I was sharing with you all. With Copilot Chat in PowerPoint, I'm going to open that up. I can have it summarize the presentation. So the presentation that is open. Again, it is that free piece. There are limitations. It's not going to make automatic changes for me, but it can reason against that PowerPoint that is open. One thing that I really like doing in Copilot Chat in PowerPoint is, let's say I have 6 different slides, 20 different slides, and I want it to generate speaker notes for me. It can generate speaker notes for me, and then it goes slide by slide, and I just copy and paste it over into the notes section of each slide. So I'm gonna let that do some work and I'm gonna open up Excel while that's working. See if this finished. Try that again. Okay, so for Excel, very similarly, you have to be open. Let's see, sample. There it goes. I have a big sample data here. So I like using this because it is rows and rows and rows of fake data. So when I open Copilot Chat, I can ask it to analyze the workbook, give me any interesting data insights, and it's going to analyze that workbook as this, as a whole and give me any information that I might need. Now, it won't automatically shift or change any of the data or generate new sheets for me, but I can ask it for help with formulas. I can have it generate some code for me, but I would have to copy and paste it over. All right, so I've heard, let me see. There is a limitation to documents and file size. It's 5 MB. I can give you specific, specs on all of that information, like for, depending on what tool you're using. And then the other one was, I've heard that we should skip the niceties, like please, because it creates unnecessary energy usage. Um, I read the same thing, but also read that being polite often gets you better results. Yes, that's true. What I don't do is I don't say thank you as a whole new interaction. That does use energy. Can we use it with Power BI? That is a separate Copilot. There is Copilot for Power BI. Um, does it do all sheets? So it will do all of the sheets in this entire workbook. I could also, because I asked it to do that, I said the workbook. But if I had said the sheet that I have open, it would have just done the sheet that I have open. Copilot is taking a little bit longer than usual here today. Let's go back. So here we are in the original one where I attached my presentation and I asked it to create an email invitation for a webinar. So there it is. It used my PowerPoint, SUNY Focus Webinar, and Copilot Chat and agents. Why you should attend. Here's the agenda. So exactly what I asked it to do. Gave me even an option to send a short reminder to everyone. So it gave me additional information beyond what I asked it to do. Now, I want to point out a couple of things, and I know I moved very quickly. This is Copilot Chat, just as Copilot Chat without being in other apps. I prompted in the beginning and I gave it some time to reason, and then I went into the other apps. But right now we're in Copilot Chat as is. There are some features that I think are important once the prompt, but once it answers for you. So here are the sources. In this case, I only attached one document and I didn't ask it to go out into the web and find anything for me. So this is the only source that it's citing. The other thing, I can copy this response and it will copy the entire response and I could paste it somewhere. I could thumbs up, say it did a great job. Thumbs down. Our engineers love feedback. So if it didn't do what you needed it to do, please let them know. I can share this prompt and copy the response. So when I do that, it creates a link that I can share internally with my colleagues that will give them that whole prompt and the response in Copilot Chat. And then edit in Pages, I'm going to show you in a second. Then you have the ability to schedule the prompt, to have it read out loud, or to open it in Word as like it just opens the entire question and prompt up for you as a Word document. So there that is. Okay. I'm going to go back to edit in Pages right now. So when I click edit in pages, what it does is it will take the response and create a page that I can share with a colleague. So if I hit share here and I can give access to this page, let's say I wanted to, Chris and I were working together. Let's pretend Chris and I are the same tenant. Chris and I are working together on a project. I used Copilot to prompt something. I loved the response, but I wanted her to like come in here and noodle around in it with me. I could share that link to this page with Chris. We could go in and say, hey, anything that's yellow, I need you to edit for me. Or in the agenda, anything that's green is going to be Chris. Anything that's yellow is going to be Renata. And so you can work together, collaborate together on any of the prompt responses that you got from Copilot using edit in pages. You might be wondering, where does this page live now? And so I'm going to close out of it and show you that it lives in that chat that you had. It also lives in your library. So here's that page. Okay, I see a question. Eugenio, you can use Copilot in your desktop apps. If you prefer to use desktop apps, that's fine. There's parity as long as you're in New Outlook. If you're using Classic Outlook, you're not going to see all of the Copilot features roll out in Classic Outlook. But in Word, PowerPoint, Excel, it's the same thing. I just demo this way because it's the easiest way for me to share my screen. But if you prefer desktop apps, that's fine. Okay. What was I waiting? Okay, so here I'm going to go back to PowerPoint and Excel because we had given it some time to reason. So it summarized the presentation for me. It gave me a one-page summary. Um, it gave me some additional next steps if I wanted to. I can continue to ask questions here. I could say, can you please generate speaker notes for slides 5 through 9? And it's going to do that for me. Okay, so Linda, your question around reference to notebooks on my list in the left, that is a additional piece with M365 Copilot that enables notebooks. What notebooks does is it is very similar to Notebook LM where I can add a ton of things into a notebook, documents, and I will then basically create a Copilot chat experience just with that information that it's grounded on. It also creates a podcast so that you can listen to the information. It is an add-on. So that is part of the M365 Copilot license. That's an additional license. Okay, so how did you say you can share and work with others on a document? So there are actually two ways here. I created a page, right? So here's what Copilot generated for me. Let's say I think it's great. I hit edit in pages, and that generates a page that is then shareable with a colleague. And then in real time, we can edit that page. I also had it create I opened it up in Word. I could also send that Word document to a colleague and we can work on it in real time. So it works similarly to a Google Doc, for example. All right, let's go back to Excel. And so it reasoned completed in one step. And then here is at a glance what my workbook is about and any data insights that it had. So it did a pretty good job here. What I can do next and I could continue to ask it to do things for me. Now, it's not going to do it automatically in the Excel spreadsheet because this is Copilot chat, no additional license, but you can copy and paste things over. I'm seeing a question here. Can I grade students' PowerPoint presentations via Copilot? I think I might need some additional information about that question. So let's hold that for 1 second. In Excel, can it look at an individual cell and pull amounts or other information in that cell? So you would need to highlight that cell and tell Copilot that that's what you want it to do. In this case, I didn't highlight any cells. I asked it to do all of the things. Um, okay, Brandon, thank you for that information. I am going to, I think I'm going to pause for a second. Actually, give me 3 more minutes and then I'll pause and answer any questions that you guys might have. You can come off mute, but I wanted to talk a little bit about agents. So what agents do is you're essentially creating a bot or using a bot that is specialized for specific reason or task. And so everyone with Copilot Chat has the ability to create or build their own agents that are grounded, so based off of public facing websites or just the large language model. So you can create agents in this agent piece and hit new agent, and it'll ask you what do you want this agent to do? And it will, through natural language chat, will walk you through the process of building an agent. So I wanted you guys to know that you have that ability as well. In my PowerPoint, I'm not presenting in Teams, sorry. I also am giving you all some additional information on agent creation. This is like step by step. And then a ton of resources here. So all of these are links. It gives you additional information on Copilot Chat, on agents, additional training. We have webinars. We have a Coffee in the Cloud YouTube channel that goes through a lot of the Copilot Chat features. And then these resources for any updates and blogs. I recommend following them. If you don't follow us here, I would suggest following us on LinkedIn because we post about any features that come out. And then I'm going to give you my email address here, but I'm going to pause, see if I missed any questions in the chat. Dean, I do have some slides. I hid those slides because normally I do this in 90 minutes and I know we're doing this in an hour today. But I can absolutely send this PowerPoint out without those slides being hidden so that you have access to the tips and tricks. So all of this here, writing an effective prompt, having these 4 key elements, and some best practices. So making sure that your prompt isn't too short or too long, breaking your prompt down into multiple steps can help. Persona-based prompting. So I could have told Copilot with that dog contract to act as my legal counsel. So giving it a persona is also helpful. And then my favorite one is asking Copilot for feedback. So telling Copilot, what do you need for me to complete this task before we get started? And it will give you a list of the things it needs, and then your task is done better and faster. So I will send all of this unhidden so you have access to it as well. It's kind of hard when you have 60 minutes and I'm not sure what the levels are of understanding what Copilot Chat is. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Like, do I give you tips first or do I show you how to use the tool first? So I'm also more than happy to set up time with your individual institutions if you want a more tips and tricks driven conversation too. Um, I'm going to stop. Madeline, is there a way, are they able to unmute themselves or Lisa?
Um, yeah, if you want to allow people to come off mute to ask
Yeah,
any more
that's fine.
questions,
We
if
have
they do,
6 minutes.
um,
We're till 1.
yep. And I'll keep the recording going till 1, just in case people have the same questions. Um, I see Nancy, you raised your hand if you want to come off mute to ask a question.
I before my campus adopted Copilot, I was using ChatGPT. So I built up like a large library of stuff. Is there a way to kind of like move everything over to Copilot so I don't lose all the stuff?
Unfortunately, there isn't a way to move things over. I don't even, gonna be vulnerable and tell you that I don't know enough about ChatGPT in terms of like where all of that is stored and if it's downloadable and then you can sort of attach it into Copilot. But from my knowledge, there's no way to transfer that information over into Copilot chat, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
I see one more question in the Q&A area. I'm not sure if you answered that already. They said I was using ChatGPT before we had a campus-wide adoption of Copilot, so I have a considerable.
Oh, is the
Oh,
answer
okay. So
the same
same
question?
question, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else? Kristen.
Hi, I just wanted to just double check one more time. Did you say that you would send that PowerPoint to everybody so we could click on those links and kind of follow up on our own as far as how to do this? Because we also use Google and we will be transitioning to Copilot and to Microsoft and all of that. And so I really wanted to kind of have a, just get my grounding before we actually move and switch over to it.
Absolutely. I'm going to send this all over to Chris, who's normally my point of contact. I'll send it to her as a PDF and then she'll be able to share it out with you. While I still have you though, Microsoft Learn is a great place to start. And let me share my screen real quick. So this is all free. You have access to this, however you choose to use it. You can go either in the educator center or you could search by product and it will give you personalized training paths around whatever product in Microsoft that you might want to use. There's also a student hub here, so I would definitely take a look at Microsoft Learn and I'll put the link in the chat. It is linked in the PowerPoint as well, but I wanted you all to know that you have access to this. The other page that's really great is our adoption page. That's also linked in the chat. There is an insane amount of videos and different options depending on how you prefer to learn around Copilot chat in general. So you have a lot of different options here. Okay. There was someone else who had their hand up earlier. Did I? Hi, Cynthia.
How are you? Thank you
Good,
for
thanks.
this
How are you?
class. I'm well, thank you. What are the other classes that you also provide?
So I technically am not a trainer per se, but I'm more of a like this is what you have access to and you can use. My focus is around AI, so Copilot Chat, M365 Copilot, and sometimes Copilot Studio.
And those are offered also through the same service with professional development.
It depends on what the interest is. I could work with Lisa or Chris to figure out what types of different like informational sessions we could do for you all.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. There was some additional questions here that I want to make sure I answer. You use Chrome. What did you say the benefit of using an Edge? So an Edge, Copilot is built into Edge. So you see how there's like a little Copilot button up here. So if I opened a website, Copilot opens up on the sidebar and I could reason against the website that I have open. If I opened a PDF, let's see, I think I don't have any PDFs here, but if I had a PDF open, it also
not
saw
sharing.
the PDF. Okay, so that was one question. I think Copilot Studio is for agent building, like a deeper low code agent builder. And then I saw someone sent me a message just to me, but I could say this out to all of you. If there's something that you want more tailored for your specific group or staff, just send me an email and we can work something out. I'd be happy to help. And then there was a question about grading PowerPoint presentations via Copilot. So you could do that in Copilot chat. And if you have a rubric ready to go, like someone mentioned here, you could say, based off of this rubric, help me grade this PowerPoint. And then you attach both. And then you continue to ask, attaching different PowerPoints. All right, we're at 1:01. So I think I answered as many questions as I could. You have my email address now. I'll put it in the chat again. Oh, I realized that I have been responding to one person directly. I'm not good at Zoom. I'm sorry. Here we go. Here's my email address. And here's that Microsoft Learn link that I had said earlier. Okay, Madeline, anything else?
No, we are all set. If you could CC me on that email with your presentation slides, I'll get that loaded into a follow-up email for everyone that should be going out later this afternoon. Registration is still open for the rest of our sessions this week. We hope to see you at a few of the other ones. And thank you so much, Renata. This was awesome.
Thank you. I hope to see you all soon. Thanks.